Hi everyone, welcome to Technique Tuesday. Today we're going to make a really quick Valentine's card using some stamps, transfers, so rub-on transfers by Hero Arts. We're going to take these and use a couple of those to make our card. We are going to use a large background stamp, so if you've got one that has writing on it and you're not quite sure what to do, we're going to use that to create a background, and then we're going to cut it out, make a shaker, and this should take about 20 minutes to make the card. So we're going to start with watercolor paper, and if you've got watercolor paper that's got a rough side and a smooth side, we're going to use the smooth side on this one. Just because we are using some rub-on transfers, so we want to make sure that that gets rubbed on smoothly. And we're going to start by just creating a background. And because our rub-ons are black with a little bit of burgundy, we're going to keep this to a really light background. So I'm pulling out my pearlescents. These are the Niji ones. Easy to work with, and we're going to make this a really watery background. So to start, I am just painting my background with water, because I really want this to be loose. And then I'm going to choose a really light pink. So for this one, I'm actually going to choose this one right here, and we're going to water it right down. So put as much water as you can in that little area, put it off to the side, keep adding water, because when we go to do this, the water that's on our paper is just going to make this flow. And we want to start at the top, and we really want to be loose about this, so there's no right or wrong. Just get that color on your background. Okay, and this is all about layering. I know I go on about layering, but it really does help create. Okay, so I started that, and that's a little bit too heavy, so we're going to water that right down. We don't want to be too heavy on our first or second passing. We want to really build up the color. You're going to see that that hardly looks like anything, but the color is starting. So now we're going to add a little bit more of a darker color. We're just going to blend that in with what we already had and water it right down. And then we're just going to start adding it to the background. And again, you're going to let the water do its job and allow it to move the paint around. And you can, if you want, you can dry in between layers. For this project, I did not. Okay, so we're going to start adding another depth of layer, and you just want to add little polka dots and then get your water back on there to move it around. Again, this is a really loose project. There is no right or wrong to this background. You keep layering until you get the look that you want. You just don't want it to be too dark, because we are going to use a stamp on top of here, and we want to make that stamp shine. So I'm actually going to add a little bit of pink brown, so taupey color. We're going to water this right down. And the reason we're adding this is just to give it a little bit of a layer of depth. It's not going to change the background too much. It's just going to add a little bit of color. If you can see that, you can start to see that the layers are coming in. And then we're going to go right back to our light pink that we were using. So back in here with that light pink. And we're gonna water that right back down. Again, let your paper and the water that's on there do its job. Okay, one last layer of pink. Make sure you water it right down because you don't want to have big blobs of this color. And the beauty about the pearlescence is it's going to give it a really nice sheen. Okay. So we're going to stop there with the background. We're going to take a few minutes to dry this. Okay, now that that's dry, we are actually going to put that in our stamping platform, and we're going to stamp the background onto here. And we are using watercolors on our stamp. So we're going to put this in here. Let's move that paint for a second. Okay. I'm going to just attach this in here. And for this particular one, I am going to take a moment and add some of my tape because I'm using a thicker. We're going to do this from the bottom just so that when we go to stamp it, actually the whole thing sticks where it's supposed to be. Okay, so we're using a huge stamp, and I'm going to load this up with a brown. So we're going to use this pinky brown, and we are going to add silver because we want to add two different colors onto our stamp, and we want to make sure that the background is a little bit wet. We're not making this background as loose, so you do want to have your paint a little bit heavier. So I put this over here. That consistency, if you can see that, that's half of the watered down that we used for the background. And then all we're going to do is take it and put it over. And again, we're mixing colors here, so it doesn't need to be perfect. And then we're going to add a little bit of the silver. So I'm using that silver right there in that corner. Move it over to the side here, and then we're just going to add that. And if you want, you can mix the two colors together. It'll give you something a little bit different. You can see on our background stamp here, it's starting to hold on to the color. If you put too much water, you are going to get some of that water stuck in the crevices. So just make sure that it's not too watery. And I'm going to lift this up so you can see the differences in the colors that it'll do on that background. So that's pretty wet. We're just going to flip this over, and yes, it's going to be a bit runny, so just make sure that when you do it, you stamp and then lift right away. That way you don't get any running. So quick pass, lift it up. Okay, so you can see in the middle, we've got a little bit missing. I actually don't mind that. That looks very Victorian in my opinion, so I'm actually gonna leave it like that. Maybe I'll do one, sorry. There we go. Actually, that's a bit better. So now you can see that. And I wouldn't worry too much about it because we're going to cut that center piece out and make a shaker. So we are going to make sure that some of this is covered. But that actually looks quite nice with the different colors on there, and brown and silver actually look really, really nice with the pink background. So we're just gonna dry this up. Okay, so that's dry, and I went ahead and I actually put a piece of 24-pound cardstock on the back of this watercolor paper. I just wanted to straighten it out a little bit, so I find that that works really, really well. So our card base, and then we're gonna stick this on here. But first, before we do that, we're actually gonna cut the center of this out. And we're going to use an arch die for that. So we're just going to put this through the die cutting machine. Let me move this out to the side. And I do like to use tape to stick my dies down, just so that I'm guaranteed to have that straight, and especially for this, since we are using writing. Put that through. Okay. So now we have our piece. Let's take this off. So this is going to go like this. Make sure that that goes on in straight. And I'm going to trim this off after. Look at that. So before you put anything down, tape this off again onto your card. Because what we want to do is actually get this piece in here first. Let's put some tape on the back. And then we'll start building the shaker. Let's get this back in here. Another little piece of tape here on the side. Normally I would add glue, but because we're working with watercolor paper, I don't want more water from the glue to warp the paper. Okay, so I have a piece of acetate that's already been cut. Make sure that you're pulling off your protective sheet on it, because otherwise you'll end up with a bit of a film. And we are going to start building the shaker. And I cut mine almost 1/8 of an inch smaller than the background. That way I don't have any acetate sticking out on the outside. And when you're putting your acetate layer down, try as much as possible to stay close to the edge, even though your acetate doesn't go towards the edge. It's just going to help adhere everything to your card base. Almost got this done, and I am using a very thin foam tape today. I don't want too much lift in my shaker. I want to keep this as close to the card base as possible. And the shaker items that I do have are glitter hearts, so we really don't need a whole lot of room. All right, let's see what's happening here. We'll get everything off. And we will get our acetate on. So we'll start at the top. And there we go. So that's ready, and that's ready, and we're just going to put a little bit of foam tape around, and then we will add, we're using Studio Katia glitter, the hearts. It's part of our Valentine's, in our Valentine section rather. And then we're just gonna get our foam tape going. I know you're probably wondering, where are these rub-ons coming in? Let's just get this portion done, and then we can start on those. And when you're using foam tape for your shakers, pull that in just a little bit. That way you don't really see it on the side of the card. And make sure that your edge is actually cut straight so that you don't have any glitter or shaker bits falling out. Okay, that's ready. I'll put that to the side. And again, we're using this, and I am actually going to take this word love, and then we're going to use je t'aime, and we're going to actually add that to the back end here. So when you put this on, you can see that. And then our word love is going to get transferred onto this small strip. So if that goes like that, this is going to go like this. So one is on the inside, one is on the outside, and then we're going to have our shaker glitter hearts in there. And you can move this wherever you want. So if you want the two items closer together, you can do that. Try that. And then you've got everything located down at the bottom, which keeps everything together. So that's entirely up to you. I'm going to move mine up just a little bit because I'd like it to be in the center. And then this is going to go here like this. So to rub, we're just going to peel the back off. There we go. And it's just subtle enough that fits in with your background that it's not going to be in your face. And this comes with a popsicle stick so that you can actually rub it off. You want to make sure that you take the time to rub this so that you don't get little bits stuck back on your acetate. Usually you can see when it's been rubbed off because it starts to get a little bit lighter. Okay, so I'm going to put this to the side for a moment because I want to actually transfer this love onto here. And I am going to cut this just a little bit smaller so that I can just get everything all onto this. And I'm just going to put it in the middle here. That looks pretty straight. Let's give it a little rub. And then we'll cut this down to whatever size we want that fits in there. And there we go. I'm going to cut this part straight down. And I'll leave the other end until we get this assembled, and then we'll see how that goes. So now we're going to put in our glitter. I'm actually going to add another piece of foam tape right here so that the glitter doesn't fall below that line. Just helps to keep it up a little bit. So that's going to go like that. Let's get some glitter in there. So again, Studio Katia, she makes lovely glitter. And we don't want to add too much because we really don't want to be overwhelmed by it because it is iridescent. Okay, that should be good. Start taking this off. Make sure you have no holes where your two pieces of foam tape meet, because you don't want any of this glitter to be falling out. Make sure that all the background paper is taken off. All right, let's try this. All right. And there is the first part of the card. All right, let's see where we can put this. I'm thinking I might actually just put it right in the middle. And I did cut another piece for the background because I wanted it to be just a little bit heavier. I am using a shimmer paper on here. So we will stick this down. And again, I don't want to be using glue on shimmer paper. I just find that it warps it. So I'm using the double-sided tape. Okay, let's get this off. Let's cut this little piece off. right there. Now you can either use your foam tape to have that raised a little bit. I actually kind of like it offset, so I'm going to do that with a bit of foam tape. And I've kept it a little bit off the side because I want to keep that right in there. That way it's not raised up too high. And that is using rub-ons in a very simple way to create a really cute Valentine's card. Thanks for sticking this out with me. Have a great afternoon and catch you next time.